Harvey Weinstein is being extradited to California to stand trial for criminal sexual assault charges. The former movie mogul and now convicted rapist has been serving time in New York. Colin, he's facing charges from 5 new women, 11 charges, including rape, and including forcible oral copulation, sexual battery, disgusting charges, absolutely disgusting charges. And you know what? It's amazing to me how there was this moment of reckoning allegedly in Hollywood. And I think that there have been some changes, I suppose. There have been some sort of, you would know this better than I would, but there have been sort of tinkering around the edges in Hollywood. And then at the end of the day, do I think that some of this is still happening? Yeah, absolutely. I think some of this is still happening. But these trials are opportunities, I think, for that reckoning to continue and to continue sort of peeling the veil back on what happened when it came to Harvey Weinstein's predatory behavior and the way he was protected by a very powerful circle of people who didn't want to get on his bad side. I expect more of that to come out in this trial.
Absolutely. And let's be clear, it's not just in the entertainment industry and not just with Harvey Weinstein. But thank goodness this reckoning is happening at any level right now, and that he's being extradited to California, and that we're going to continue to talk about this because it will give the opportunity for more people, hopefully, to have the courage to stand up and talk about things that they've experienced in the workplace, and then for there actually to be reckonings across the board with this. I mean, the idea that people are still being abused in their workplaces, like you said, is in any business setting or setting in general, is absolutely still happening. You and I both know that. But the more we talk about it, the more we put it out on the table, the more it's actually conversed about and is in the media, hopefully, the less it will actually happen.
Well, if we remember literally the day that the New York Times broke its first story on Harvey Weinstein, he came out with a defense of himself as that he was a dinosaur, and this is the way the business had always operated. Like, show business, that's show business, baby. You know, I learned this in the 70s. This is how everybody did it, and he called himself a, quote, dinosaur. And, you know, there are a lot of people that are still like Harvey Weinstein who are probably now too scared to act like Harvey Weinstein, as they well should be. But the entertainment industry is unique in the way that a lot of Weinstein's behavior is baked into the fabric of how it operates. And that's not to say that things haven't changed since there was that moment of reckoning. We keep using that word. It is, you know, what was supposed to happen and what needed to happen in Hollywood. But I do think the entertainment industry is still very unique because it has this it's this confluence of sort of like power and sex that, you know, you need to sell movies and to make movies that is really dangerous. And I mean, I have little faith that truly is changing on a substantive, meaningful level.
Well, look, you're probably right. There's, the entertainment industry is an insider, very small, and outsider world, right? And anywhere those two dynamics exist, people are constantly trying to get into that inside circle. And that's where you have the opportunity for these, abusive practices to take place. I mean, look, Hollywood is also filled with really attractive people. So you add that to the dynamic of it, and now you've got this perfect storm of things that, people who call themselves dinosaurs but really just are abusive assholes take advantage of it. Yeah. And they shouldn't. And thank goodness he's being charged here, and thank goodness this is being brought out in the open. And where it does occur in other industries, maybe this trial and the hype around his convictions and continued, allegations will actually cause some real change. I'm hopeful for that. I hope that it continues to ripple throughout all industries, and not only change the entertainment industry, but any other industry that has the same kind of issues, which I would argue is probably all of them.
Well, speaking of powerful sex predators who were protected by the media.
That's right. Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein's partner in crime, is expected to also stand trial for multiple charges in relation to sex trafficking of minors, and is the subject of a new documentary. Let's take a look.
How on earth could she have got to this place?
She said, no, they're not young girls, they're children.
You could see tiny pinholes on the wall, and that's where the cameras were.
Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein are untouchable until it all came crashing down around them.
Then Jeffrey Epstein was found dead in his jail cell.
Ghislaine Maxwell disappeared.
So who is the girl beneath all of this?
When there's no more Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell was now front and center.
She inherited Jeffrey Epstein's secrets.
This is a bigger animal than anyone knows. And Ghislaine Maxwell has the answers.
So I got a screener of this, and I was watching it last night, and there's a key line we just saw in the trailer that Ghislaine Maxwell inherited her father's secrets. She inherited Jeffrey Epstein's secrets. And that also, the documentary does a deep dive into Ghislaine Maxwell's family and into her father and into how that family is connected to intelligence gathering among international intelligence gathering operations like in Israel. And this is a huge piece of the Epstein puzzle. Jeffrey Epstein is dead. Ghislaine Maxwell is alive, and she could spill a lot of secrets about a lot of powerful people, and yet she remains so secretive. There's so much to what Ghislaine Maxwell knows. I mean, this documentary gets into sort of the evidence that was collected from Jeffrey Epstein's mansion, and Ghislaine Maxwell knows what that stuff is. That she absolutely knows what that evidence is, and that's sort of still where the public is looking through the glass dimly. Ghislaine Maxwell could shed a whole lot of light on a lot of things, and diving into her history and looking at how she sort of fits into this equation, which is the allegations against Ghislaine Maxwell are disgusting. What we know about Ghislaine Maxwell is disgusting, and her role as a woman in treating other women, particularly young women, minor women, in the way that she is alleged to have done is repulsive. There's just no question that she was involved in disgusting behavior. But when we look at how her life evolved and how her life progressed from college, as this documentary does, childhood, college, you start to actually get a much clearer picture of where she fit into Jeffrey Epstein's operation. I recommend it. It's really, really fascinating. It moves quickly. It's easy to watch. But more importantly, it's full of interesting insights from people who knew her in college, from people who knew her as recently as like 2018.
Yeah. Look, I am fascinated by this documentary, and I really want to understand how she fits into this puzzle. And I agree, it's just the strangest, most disgusting story, and the levels of it just seem to continually go deeper and deeper. And I almost wonder where the bottom is. And hope, look, if I was her, I'd be scared to come public with it too. Obviously, it involves a lot of powerful people, and Jeffrey ended up dead in his cell. And not that I want to spin around conspiracy theories and fall down that rabbit hole, but this is a strange thing involving a lot of really powerful people, and it's almost every day a new thing comes out about it, and it's just disgusting, quite frankly. And I almost wish we could get to the bottom of it so it could stop, because I don't want to talk about it a month from now, or 2 months from now, or 6 months from now. Let's figure out what it is, end it, and move on.
Well, I think what this documentary underscores is that we are never going to get to the bottom of it. I don't think it's even conspiratorial at this point to recognize that, especially when you trace, again, when you start peeling back the layers of mystery that shroud Ghislaine Maxwell's family and that shroud her father's death, it becomes very clear that a lot of very powerful people are involved in this entire thing, and they will not allow the full truth to be exposed. I mean, I don't have any confidence that we're actually ever going to know what really, really happened, because too many people in positions of power have too much on the line. I do think documentaries like this one, which, by the way, is coming out on Peacock, owned by Comcast, and NBC News, by the way, we should say, was implicated in the Weinstein cover-up by Ronan Farrow's reporting, killing stories and killing reporting and investigations into him. But this documentary is a helpful way to sort of say, listen, there's a lot more going on to Ghislaine Maxwell. It shows that her involvement and her life story is connected to a lot of powerful people. It shows how they ensconced themselves in circles of power, surrounded themselves with people of power, how they conducted themselves in those interactions with powerful people in order to kind of endear themselves. Ghislaine Maxwell's Terramar project, for instance, the documentary really starts digging into that. There's so much power concentrated in the stories of these two individuals, and to explore it through the lens of Ghislaine Maxwell's life in particular, I think is incredibly insightful. So I highly recommend checking that documentary out.
I look forward to watching it. Thank you for the recommendation. More Rising right after this.